This video is powered by the pros at Pascal Air Plumbing and Electric. Arkansas owned, Arkansas operated. GoPascal.com.
Alyssa Orange from Pig Trail Nation. Good to talk to you today, Alyssa. I watched, again, the video. I wouldn't even call it a video. It was like a short movie about Ryan Mallett's first training camp at Whitehall. And it just left me wanting a second one. We're not going to get it.
Yeah.
It's a tough day. It's a tough day, especially for those who had a chance to know Ryan and maybe, you know, in your situation to see him up close in a position that he seemed just ready to grab with both arms and find success in and find the next chapter of his life. That to me is really what makes today so difficult. Is this is somebody who passed away right in the middle of his life and really before we really got to see how good he could be at the next chapter.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing is it just sucks, right? It sucks when I heard the news and when I had it confirmed with people in Whitehall yesterday. I'm still having trouble kind of wrapping my brain around it. And the people that I connected with in Whitehall have reached out yesterday, just reiterating maybe how special that was in retrospect to be able to spend that time. And it means a little different, hits a little different this morning, rewatching it myself and knowing that he was just so excited to be a head coach. And so much as we were doing that in Whitehall it's not about me, it's about these kids. And, you know, sent him the first edit. He goes, I want to talk about the kids more. Can we take a little bit more about me? Which he is the story. He wanted to make sure the kids were represented as best as possible and really showcasing how that was what it meant to him. He wanted to give back to the sport of football by growing the game and teaching the kids below them and the all in respect that so many of those kids had to be coached by Ryan Mallett. We were talking to their quarterback last year about how just incredible it is to be taught by someone who was in the same meeting room with Tom Brady. And we saw Tom Brady put out something on his Instagram about Ryan last night, and the Patriots had put out something. He just impacted so many people. And I didn't cover Arkansas when he was playing. We're the same age, Ryan and I. And so I got to meet Ryan after he left Arkansas and was still playing in the pros and would come back here occasionally. And I got to admit, it's a little intimidating to go up to Ryan Mallett, you know, and talk to him. But just from the beginning, nothing but kind and sweet and respectful. And I really enjoyed talking to him the brief times that I did get to talk to him. And it's just tough. It's tough.
The thing that stands out about how he chose to start his coaching career, he didn't go like the analyst route. You know, he didn't start with a big time college football program and you know try to slowly work your way up. He went to high school, Arkansas high school. You know, Mountain Home's a big time program. Whitehall's a little bit of a different situation, but he was. I mean, you got to grind, and you got to grind in college football too. But in high school football, man, it does really come across like it is a real grind. But I don't think it was something that he shied away from. And in fact, it seems that he was more excited about that whole idea.
Yeah, I mean that's where it started with him, and I think he recognized that's where he shined, and that's where his roots were in that high school football world. And he talked a lot about how his high school coach and offensive coordinator in high school. He spent more time with him than he did his own family, and just how much that impacted meant a lot to where he and his career went. And if he didn't have that, he would have never had the rest of it. And so he really knew the importance of how important it is to be impactful at that age and start with the fundamentals at that age. And I think he also understood that he connected, I think, better on the high school level than anywhere else. And I think if he was still here, he'd agree with that statement that connection on the high school level with those high school kids was where he was most relatable. And he, for the 1 year at Whitehall, made that impact. I mean, he lost a player 2 weeks ago from an accidental shooting. And my heart is so heavy for the city of Whitehall and everything that they've had to endure these last 2 weeks.
Oh, that's terrible. I had no idea about about that other tragedy involving a kid that played there. So, I mean, and we, Arkansas football right now has kind of got a little bit of the same thing going. Deion Stutz passes away. He would have been a Razorback in 2024. Who knows how close Quincy McAdoo came to a worse outcome. Peyton Hillis, the same thing. I mean, it's just it seems we got a rash of these stories involving specifically Arkansas football players or incoming football players. Hopefully it stops sometime soon, because these are not the kind of conversations you want to have on a routine basis.
I'd love a break for sure.
Mm-hmm. Well, we can move on to some other stuff, something that's a little bit happier. You were in Winston-Salem over the weekend. So, I mean, congratulations
Thank you.
You knew you were the award winner, the co-award winner, about, I think it was 6 months ago, or a little more than 6 months ago. So it's a long time to wait and prepare for a banquet. But, man, when I look at your photos, it looked like a great time. What was the weekend like at the National Sports Media Association banquet, where you got your co-Arkansas Sportscaster of the Year award?
Well, I can't say enough about how well run it is, and I know that you said that, but to be there and to meet people who are in the same industry with you, who they're people, and they're people that we see. Gene Deckerhoff was there, voice of Florida State. He was the Florida winner, and of course, I'm in awe. But he was just Gene, and he's wonderful, and he's nice, and so you're interacting with peers in the industry and talking and meeting new people, and it was just really special to be in that room among all of those people. Kyle Deckelbaum, who was the other co-Arkansas recipient, was there with his wife, Caitlin, and so Sawyer and I got to spend a lot of time with him. Grant Paulson, who has a radio show in D.C., and my dad listens to him every day on his commute. He was there as the D.C. winner, and I got to tell him, hey, my dad's a fan, can I get a photo? And but very wonderful to interact with him and his wife, and met my a lasting friend, I think, in Seattle. And so those are the connections that you build. Not only are these people who are getting awards, but they're people who can relate to what you do. And it was really cool. On top of that, my grandmother lives about an hour away, so I had time to go see my grandma. So that was the kind of the cherry on top of the whole trip. I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to squeeze that in, but we made that work on Monday before the awards banquet. So overall, just a really special weekend, not just for me, but for Sawyer as well.
We don't do this job for awards, but there are still organizations that do have awards for broadcasters and for writers.
And Phil, I think the hardest thing too with everything that's happened in the last 24 hours is, I think, some of the reason why people maybe have voted for me in Arkansas for 2022 was I went out on a limb and did that project with Ryan. And I truly believe being able to do that project and stretch what I am as a journalist and do something different stuck out in 2022. And so it's tough for me.
Well, just keep doing what you do. I mean, when I think of you as a journalist, and I don't view myself as a journalist. Talk radio is not journalism. Play-by-play is a combination of like public relations and journalism, especially when you work for an organization that's kind of right connected there to the university. So I don't view myself as a journalist. You are. You're honest. You're straightforward. You're friendly. You're intelligent, and you're not afraid to step outside a comfort zone. It's not that easy to stand in front of a camera and look into the camera and be honest about the things that you want to talk about. And you are exactly that. And I just thought that this award for you made a whole lot of sense. But you don't have to talk about yourself. That means a lot. You don't have to talk about yourself too much more, because that's another thing that journalists don't like to do very often, is talk about themselves. Did you see we will have a women's basketball game with Arkansas at Florida State? I guess was the last time that I can remember one of the teams that we talk about playing Florida State would have been in Omaha in 2019, and the Seminoles won. Hopefully this time it's a little different.
They did, yes. And I didn't work that game. I just kind of sat in the stands and observed, because my boss at the time, Jason Garrett, goes, "You're worthless to me today. Just go be in the stands." That's okay. I saw that, and I texted Neighbors, and he said, "You're the first person I thought of." I was like, well, I think we should do another ride-along piece.
Isn't that
like we did when we went to Iowa State.
But isn't that interesting? Because I think Matt Jones, he said that the first time I even brought it up. He said, well, that's Alyssa Orange's team. Mm-hmm. People connect you with Florida State, maybe in the same way that people might connect me with the Pirates sometimes.
Yeah, well, and I appreciate that. And I think I can get away with it because they're not an SEC school. If they were to ever join the SEC, well, then I might have to tone it down a little bit. But it's cool because it doesn't really happen, and it's only happened a handful of times, if any. Softball's honestly played the most. They played Florida State twice or 3 times since I've been here. So it's cool, that connection, and I've been around long enough to understand that I'm just going to enjoy the game. I'm not picking a side, and I'm just happy that the men or the women got to play my alma mater. So in the first year, that's pretty cool.
How about the men's team playing Duke and hosting them too? Like, one thing if you're going to Cameron and they'd be like, well, that's cool for them. Yeah, that would be really cool from us and the players to go experience that atmosphere in Cameron. It's even cooler when there'll be maybe about 3 times as many fans inside Bud Walton Arena getting a chance to see the Blue Devils in Fayetteville. I like how this is going.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, no, this is awesome. I thought it was really cool where people were tweeting, this is the biggest game in Bud Walton Arena since ... I mean, this is huge. There's so much history, even though they're 2 different leagues, haven't played very often outside of the NCAA tournament and tournament fashion, and I just think that having them in Bud Walton Arena is going to be like it was a couple years ago. I didn't experience this, but when Syracuse came in, what was that, 2012? Kentucky coming in, but Kentucky comes in a lot, so it's still that excitement. But when you have a team out of the ACC like a Blue Blood in Duke, or if North Carolina was headed this direction, it's going to be a really, really big game. And, man, I'm excited. If it's anything like the energy that I felt when I walked in after doing some live shots to that Arkansas-Auburn game when Auburn was number 1 and Arkansas ultimately won that game, it's going to be a night.
I mean, it'll be that times 5,000. Auburn basketball has absolutely zero cachet left. They've been number 1 like once. Duke is the most dominant basketball program of our lifetime in college basketball.
Yep.
BetOnline is your #1 source for all your betting needs. Get the latest odds, lines, and matchup reports for baseball, boxing, golf, and more. BetOnline continues to be the fastest and easiest way to place your wagers, including live betting and your favorite casino and card games available to play right from your phone. Head to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today and get in on the action. Remember to use our promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, for your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet online, where the game starts.